You can ask anything. Should be fun.
I don't have anything really necessarily to ask, but I have a statement or something to say.
Okay.
I've noticed that with some people, not just adoptees, but some people, there seems to be a cluster of certain types of diagnoses that kind of happen with adoptees or with people that go through what adoptees go through. And what I've witnessed, and I could be off my rocker, I don't know, I could be totally inaccurate, but what I've noticed is that people who've experienced some kind of assault or abuse of sexual nature that is coupled with some kind of attachment problem, whether that be in a foster home or adopted or parents die when they're babies, whatever, things like that, plus some kind of mental illness or chemical dependency of some sort. There also tends to be with that an eating disorder of some kind.
Drug use, addiction.
Yep, some kind of compulsive behavior. Eating disorder. And...
Can you explain a little bit what attachment disorder is? Because people might not.
Oh, sure.
Not understand what you're
totally. Well, I was gonna say also the eating disorder, but also a borderline personality disorder seems to be with that too. Anyway, but so attachment disorder. Basically, it's pretty huge topic. There's a lot that goes into attachments. There's John Bowlby. He was a British, or I think he was an English psychiatrist. And in the 1940s, he noticed that the children whose parents were separated, the children who were separated from their parents in World War II, I believe, or maybe, I don't remember which war, but it was World War something, that there was a number of children, I think it was in France, who were taken from their parents and put into an orphanage temporarily for during the war to keep them safe. And then the parents either fought in the war or were in a different area. Then after the war, these same children kind of grew up a little bit in the orphanage. Then they were reunited with their parents, and John Bowlby was working at that orphanage or head association, and he observed the children from when they first went in to when they were reunited with the parents. When the children first went into the orphanage, these kids were just screaming and crying and just suffering so bad. Like, I want my mommy, just total, terrible, distraught for the kids. Then, after probably about a couple months, the kids acclimated to the new environment, and then they were okay. And then they were able to eat again and, do things and just learn, go to school, all that kind of stuff. So then, after a couple years, when the war got out and they reunited with their parents, he noticed how some kids' reactions were different to other kids' reactions when they were reunited. Some kids ran to their mom and dad, hugged them, happy to see them. Everyone was happy they left, and it was all good. Other kids were shy of their parents. They were kind of like, oh, look, there's mom. Oh, I don't know. Really shy. And then other kids just ran the other direction. It had nothing to do with their parents. They didn't want to have anything to do with them. They were like, F you, get out of my life. I'm done. You're not my parents anymore. And they had such an extreme different reaction than the first group I told you about. So John was like, what is going on here? Why aren't all the kids just going home to their parents and happy? So then he looked further into the case study, and he did some, I guess you could say, social experiments and other case studies with other parents and the mothers that came to John with complaints of how their newborn babies, or not newborn, their young toddlers were being violent at home and just not doing good things and not seeming to attach to the caregiver, the mom. And John, after a lot of study, started noticing patterns in these different types of kids. What he noticed was the kids who, when at age birth through, I think it was like age 5 or so, when their parents attended to their cries, fed them regularly, they slept regularly, they got burped and bathed and all that, and everything was consistent and regular, and the parents were always there for the kids, and whenever they cried, they were there. Those children, when they got a little bit older, were the ones that ran back to the mom and dad after the war got done and everything was all good. then he knows that the kids who, when from age birth to 5, when the mom or the dad was preoccupied, busy with something, and the kid was crying, and the parents weren't always there to pick him up, but then sometimes the parents were there to pick the child up. Sometimes the parents were soothing. Sometimes the parents were unavailable. That inconsistency, those were the kids that seemed to kind of be a little bit shy from the parents or run away. And the third group was the children who were traumatized. They were abused, they were neglected, they were sexually abused, physically abused. Those were the kids that just bolted away from the parent when the parent left. And then there's other variations upon that. So he concluded that there's different types of attachment styles. There's secure attachment, which is the first one of the kid that runs to the mom and dad after the war is over, they hug and they're all good to go. And he concluded that about 50 to 60% of the population is securely attached, meaning there's no trauma there. There's no separation or break in that attachment. And that attachment is so secure and strong that if the parents go away for a long time and they come back, that attachment is reinstated seamlessly, and that's good. Then the second style is anxiously attached, meaning a lot of adoptees fall in this category. The child learned that their parent or caregiver is not always going to be there for them. So they kind of have to fend for themselves. But when they are there for them, it's all good. So they have this constant anxiety. Is mom going to be there for me? Is dad going to be there for me? Oh, they're there for me. Yay. Oh, but now they're leaving again. Who can I trust? Where is my secure base? I don't have one. So that's the anxiously attached child. And I forgot to include the avoidant child, but the avoidant child is their baby and their child, and the mom and dad are just not there for them.
Is that where borderline personality comes as the third one?
No.
Oh.
Well, borderline personality can have some attachment, and borderline can have some overlaps. But borderline is a completely different thing.
Oh, I see.
But so then there's the avoidant child where their baby, they cry. Mom only comes, feeds a baby, and leaves. Cry. Mom comes, change diaper, leaves. So basically neglectful parents or parents that are just unavailable. So the baby and the child learn at that young age that I have to fend for myself. I got to take care of myself because no one's going to do it and I will die unless I take care of myself. So they learn the hard age or the hard lesson that at a young age, they can't rely on anyone. No one's there for them. So as an adult, the avoidant child learns or grows up in relationships where when they meet someone, date someone, their way of getting affection is by avoiding their partner, pushing the partner away, avoiding the partner. Because number one, that's all they've really known. And number two, they want to be pursued by the partner. Because that pursuant behavior, like calling, are you okay? What's wrong? Let me come over. Are you okay? How come you're avoiding me? You know, that pursuant behavior makes the avoidant child and the avoidant adult feel loved. It's an indirect way of getting love and affection. The anxiously attached child, the one that is anxious that the parents are going to come back or not, the one that has inconsistency, when they grow up to be adults in relationships, they cling. They cling to their partner because they don't know if their partner's going to leave them or be there or not or whatever.
You don't think that's borderline personality disorder? Is it related?
There's traits.
Oh.
There's traits. But, so the anxious attached person, they cling to their partner and because they think that if they can hold on to their partner and control their partner and make their partner love them and not leave them, then they will somehow magically make their partner be with them forever. And it's like this kind of magical thinking that is based off of this total absolute insecurity within themselves. Because they haven't established that caretaking within themselves. And then the last category is the disorganized child, which is remember the kid that the parents come home from the war and the kid just bolts, goes away
Mm-hmm.
in that direction. The abuse, child who's abused, those people grow up, and those are the ones that tend to be the sociopathic people.
Oh,
that
I see.
Can't form attachments with others. They often fall within the category of RAD, reactive attachment disorder. Have you heard of RAD? Reactive attachment disorder. It's actually like it's an illness. It's a mental illness, and the people who have RAD, they literally can't make attachments with anyone. And if they try, or someone tries to make an attachment with them, like a therapist or a teacher or a parent, they explode. They just get away from me. They set fires and just, the whole, just super trauma coming out.
Is that what Jeffrey Dahmer was?
Probably.
Was a sociopath? Is that the same thing, or?
What I'm trying to say. I'm not an expert on this. So I don't know for sure, but like sociopaths are extremely narcissistic in that they think that they're better than everyone.
Oh, I see.
And they have no empathy and they just no remorse. So they could hurt an animal because they're bored and then walk away and not think anything bad about it ever.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's sociopathic behavior.
You don't think that's serial killers, or
I
is it
think
different?
that's
I think so.
sociopaths or serial killers.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Because they can hurt a human being and do it again because they don't feel empathy or remorse. They just, it's
Hardwired in their brain.
Hardwired in their brain to not feel bad or have compassion for living beings.
So I assume, like because you described it, you think the early onset of how your parents took care of you is essentially what influences your later life. Is that correct?
Yes, I think. John Bowlby, the psychiatrist, he actually, and there's also another therapist named Mary Ainsworth, but basically, they concluded that what happens to a person from age birth to 5 years old, and then beyond also, but that's the crucial window. That time period, what happens to you with your relationship with your caregiver is the blueprint for your adult relationships later on in life.
Mm-hmm. So my next question is related to bipolar. We're identical twins. We may not look like it. How is it possible that I'm bipolar and he's just not? Do you know any twin studies? Or I'm just curious.
Yeah, because bipolar in some cases is genetic, which I think in your case. So I don't know how the genes are in your biological parents.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing that both parents did not have bipolar.
Oh. They didn't?
Did not.
How's that? How do I have it then?
Well, because you probably have, it was probably carried down by some type of gene, either dominant or recessive, and you have the...
Both recessive genes?
Yeah, or something like that. I don't know.
Oh.
You'd have to get a DNA test of your biological parents and figure it out.
Yeah, the thing is, I don't know if did Kyle tell you a little bit about our birth family, or? No. So, we wrote a letter in 2009. It wasn't till, 2009. It wasn't until like maybe 8 years later we went to Pyeongchang Olympics, and it was really fun because we get to see the snowboarder. He was famous, and I can't remember his name. Sean White. So that was really great, but we also met our birth family there. So it's awesome because we saw our real birth mom, the stepfather. We don't know who our real father is, but we also saw our half sister, and it was a great experience. So
oh my gosh!
We're gonna be in that book. That's why I mentioned earlier. We're probably gonna be in the good side of the book, I guess you could say it, or the good experience. So we had a good experience.
Bad experience. That's kind of why we're doing this, because I always felt bad. Hey, we had a good experience.
Yeah, we're definitely more privileged than most people.
Horrible experiences, and it like traumatized them the rest of their life. So we're just, I guess right now we're kind of in that phase trying to figure out what KADS themselves have been healed from it, because I imagine myself in the predicament where my parents just shut the door on our face, and I would probably be pretty depressed. I don't know if I would go like the destructive route, like doing drugs, but it's just like a common issue. I feel.
Well, that's wonderful. I'm so happy that you had a positive experience with your birth family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it's rare, but it was just essentially we had a really good experience.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.